All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about the videos that I feel like every realtor should be making in 2023. These are obviously adaptable to, like, if you're a lender or whatever, we can work through some of those ideas, but these are definitely structured more toward the realtor, and just some ideas behind how to maybe be a little bit different, how to create some of those core videos that should exist on your maybe on your website or on your social media platforms. And this can be also short form video, so things like Reels or TikTok, but this also could be adapted for a long form video opportunity on YouTube or Vimeo. So there are opportunities here in this space that you could take these ideas and really kind of create what that looks like for you online. Somebody said, will this be recorded? Yes, Johnny, this will 100% be recorded. It already is. We'll send it out afterwards, and then we will also send the slides out too. Perfect. Okay, so let's get started. A little bit about me. I am originally from Ohio. I actually live in Ohio now, but I spent the better part of 13 years in Arizona, where I actually was a transaction coordinator, a mortgage business development manager. But the majority of time I was in Arizona, I actually was one of the top title sales reps in Maricopa County, 8 years running. So I have a total of 11 years real estate experience, but my sales experience goes back about 22 years. And I know I don't look that old, but my first job ever in high school was in sales. And I've continued that career up until I moved into a marketing and technology director role, which I'm actually in love with. I love what I do. I do miss some of the sales sides of things, but I am so excited to bring my experience to you today because I love specializing in unique solutions and tailoring some opportunities to each client's needs. So where Claire is going to come boots on the ground with you, if you like some of these ideas, but you want to kind of tailor them to your experience and your brand, or maybe something that's unique to you in the marketplace that you're in, we can totally come up with new ideas or tailor some of these ideas to you to make more sense for your business. So on that note, I'm going to move this out of the way. 86% of video marketers say video has been absolutely effective for generating leads. This comes from HubSpot. If you guys aren't familiar with HubSpot, it is a phenomenal resource for content creation, for video ideas. HubSpot actually has a really phenomenal free CRM, which if you don't have a CRM or haven't been using one and you need one that is affordable, HubSpot is the way to go. I'm on HubSpot's newsletter every day, and then I also access their blog, and they are just phenomenal at creating content and helping people really move through what's happening in the digital space. But this is a huge statistic. So video has been absolutely effective for generating leads. This means that marketing people not only are doing it, but the consumer is consuming it, and it's creating impact. People are converting from marketers creating video. And I know the other statistic is 54% of all consumers say they want more video from the brands that they love. So if you already have people in your sphere, in your database, in your farm, your family, your friends, everybody that already knows, loves, and trusts you, and you're not making videos towards them, I promise you they want to see more video from you. And that's really just taking your everyday conversations that you would maybe have on the phone or through text message and creating video instead of those same conversations. It doesn't have to be complicated. We just have to kind of transition our minds as to how people want to consume information. The other thing about video, and the reason that it's so effective, is because we retain 95% of what we watch in a message, in a video, compared to less than 10% when we read it. So think about if you were trying to answer a really important question and you send an email. We're going to retain that email at 10% of the time. We're at 10% of that actual email. Okay. Whereas if you are sending it in a video, people will remember what you're saying. I love the video strategy when it comes to when it comes to talking about wire fraud, because we actually have like wire fraud in our email signatures. We have wire fraud disclosure statement. We have wire fraud this and wire fraud that, and most of it is in text form, which is why we kind of double up and triple up on those reminders. But I guarantee you, if you sent a quick video on the importance of making sure people are taking the right steps to avoid wire fraud, I guarantee you, your buyers, your sellers will retain how incredibly important it is, better than if you're sending them 3-4 different types of reading of that same note. It's just how our brains work. The way that our brains process video is so very different than how we process text. Okay, so video number 1, your origin story. So your like profile, right? Who you are should be a very, very important video that you have created, that you really defining your mission, the history of why you got into real estate, maybe a career that you experienced before real estate and how it helps you in your career now, your hobbies, your philosophy, your vision moving forward. If you got into real estate because you really like the connection that community brings when it comes to real estate, that's a great thing to share. If you got into real estate because you used to be an interior designer and the design aspect of real estate is what intrigues you and makes you excited about going into homes and helping your clients kind of find their zen inside of where they live, that's an awesome opportunity to share your philosophy, why you got into the business, and what makes you different. And you can take all of these things and make it fun. Like, we actually consume more entertaining content than we do any sort of education, personal, anything like that. So if it's entertaining, if it's funny, maybe you tell the story of how you randomly landed in real estate and you can make it fun. So I think this is really important to have these origin stories. I think this is really great to have on your website as well as exist on your social media. And the best part about these origin stories is you have the opportunity to reshare them. So if you're creating this piece of content, and then let's say, 6 months go by and you have a ton of new followers and you have an opportunity to just tell them kind of your origin story again, you can reshare that video. That's what I call evergreen content. We'll get to that again later on in the slides. But I think your origin story is really important to help people understand who you are, where you come from, what you like to do, and what your mission is in helping them with their real estate goals, okay? And don't forget to have fun with it. I think when we're not having fun with things, it makes it harder to continue to do. So have a good time. If that also means like recording with a friend or somebody else in your office that is struggling as well, and you guys just kind of laugh through it, record your bloopers. It's hilarious, okay? But your origin story is something that I think is really important, but it's also reshareable over time. Second one is buyer and seller FAQs. So the amount of content in this space is limitless. So why should people buy and sell right now? And this is really an important conversation because right now we're in a really weird market. It was a seller's market for a very long time. Now we might be transitioning to more of a normal market or a buyer's market, which is great. But what does that mean for your sellers that have been experiencing a massive amount of equity, that have been experiencing a massive amount of, leverage in the contract? And then what does that mean for your buyers now that they don't have to remove all contingencies to get a home? It's a good thing, right? Heading into a normal market is actually a very positive thing for our communities. And the reason is most sellers are buyers. So most people who sell their home, 98% of people who sell their home turn into buyers, okay? So if you sell at the height of the market and you make all this equity, great, but you're also buying at the height of the market. So there's a conversation there where we can really talk about how a normal market is actually very healthy for both the buy and sell side. Instead of just saying buy now or sell now. Yes, we understand that real estate is a great investment. I think our communities think that realtors are going to tell you to buy at any time because it makes sense, which it usually does, because if you plan on holding an investment like real estate for 10 years, you're likely to have some equity. So it does make sense. Most people just think we're trying to convince them to buy right now, but really give them an explanation. Explain to them the risks of buying in a buyer's market, the risks of buying in a seller's market, but explain to them the benefits as well. So that way they can make a full circle decision for themselves about what makes sense for their lives. What to expect? I call that the customer journey, right? So a lot of times when we are creating video, we are just like creating video and spitting facts. Like this is what an appraisal is, right? And I don't think that that really tells people, yes, it tells people what an appraisal is, but that's kind of boring. So you could actually explain to them, what does the customer journey look like in that appraisal process? Where does it happen? What can you expect as far as communication from your appraiser? What does it mean if your appraisal comes in low? How does that affect your cost as a buyer? What are the options as far as negotiation when it comes to that? And you could even share a story. So if you've had a client in the past go through something like that, you can kind of share their story, share about what happened and how you came through it and what guidance you gave them. Stories sell so much better than just facts. So I love the customer journey, especially for people who have never bought a home. And if you think about it, if you have bought a home, sometimes people who have only bought one home, they've never been a seller before. So they don't understand the seller journey either. So there's so much opportunity in explaining the customer journey and what to expect, because when people go into a real estate transaction and they've never been there before, it is super scary. I've bought and sold many homes, but I will say I would rather, like selling a home for me is way more stressful than buying a home is. I'm not sure why, but it is. So I know that like when I go to sell a home, my stress levels go up. But what does that mean? Like what are the expectations on that customer journey? What are some must-know real estate terms? We speak in Realtor, right? We say MLS and Binzer and spuds or whatever the shortened form of your forms are that you guys are filling out. But a lot of times a traditional seller or traditional buyer or somebody who is even bought or sold home before still doesn't know what that means. It's not their everyday language. So we need to really understand and explain to people, even MLS, like we use MLS, like everybody knows what an MLS is. So what does multiple listing service mean? And what does that give you access to? Explaining the simple terms of real estate really helps us connect with those people who have never had the opportunity to buy before, but want to. They just don't understand anything because they're like, you're speaking in a foreign language that I've never heard before. So the more simple that we can make things, the more digestible we can make things, the more opportunity we're going to have with those communities that have never bought and sold before. And then also sharing economic projections, rate information. Obviously, we're not lenders, so, or if you are a lender, that's great. But this is an opportunity to bring in one of your lender partners and talk about rates, what it means, what controls the mortgage interest rates, what affects it, what's the opportunity where you could talk about comparison of rental costs. So your rent can go up every single year. Well, if you get, as long as you don't have an arm, like if you have a 30-year fixed rate, that payment over your next 30 years is going to be the same no matter what. And that's like the difference between talking to people just about buying now and then refinancing later. Like, what does it mean to have fixed rate mortgage for, wealth planning and building over the next 10, 15 years as you hold that home? So I think buyer and seller FAQs, it is limitless as far as what you could share. This is also a great opportunity to have that reshareable opportunity. If the information that you shared in some of these videos isn't changing, you can reshare those videos every 6 months as well. All right, video number 3, testimonials. Nobody likes a bragger, right? Nobody likes to be like, oh, I'm wonderful, I'm perfect. Look at me, what I did. This is what I closed last year. It doesn't always come off well. It might come off well to like your other realtors, but when it comes to consumers, they don't really love to see that. They would rather see your raving fans brag on you, right? Or brag for you. And a lot of times the best place to do that is when you're at that closing table right before closing when people are getting excited. Inside of the process, it can get a little mucky just because they're confused, they're worried, Is everything going to go okay? Are we going to close on time? But at that closing table is usually the best time to get a review. This would be a huge opportunity to prepare them and say, hey, do you mind recording a video with me? And just talk about the process and what you experienced. And even if you were nervous, that's totally fine. But just making sure that they're comfortable, they know what's coming. And if they don't want to be on screen, totally fine. Maybe you record their voice and you take a picture of them, and it's a voiceover, and you can caption it out with their review or their testimonial of you. I think those are incredible opportunities for you to leverage your testimonials in different ways instead of just including a photo. You can make videos of it, whether it be in person or as like a voiceover, and just letting them know, hey, you don't have to be on camera. I would just love to hear you, even if they write a review and then you record their voice reading the review, that would be incredibly amazing as well. Also, this is evergreen content too. So a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is evergreen content where you can reshare every 6 months. So, and the best part about this is once you get 6 months into creating videos, you have so much opportunity to reshare all of the stuff that, yes, you still should be creating new things, but let's say you're going on vacation, or it is, around the holiday time and you just don't have the time to plan out new content. That's where evergreen content really makes it easier for you to say, hey, you know what, I have a new post, but I'm also going to reshare something from 6 months ago. You could do something like a testimonial Tuesday when it comes to your content, and maybe every Tuesday you share something. And if that means you only have 10 testimonials, you share 10 weeks of testimonials, and then you start over again with the original one, which is totally great. And don't forget to ask your partners for testimonials. So if you work with Clover Lane, ask Clover Lane for a testimonial. What is it like working with you? If you work with a lender, ask them. If you work with a home inspector, ask them for testimonials, because it's really important to know that your partners and the people that you're referring your customers to also love you, and they do. So get some testimonials from those people as well, and you'll have content forever. All right, video number 4. So why your city? This is a huge one. Okay, this is actually a really great one. If you're planning on doing long form content, this is really great to put on YouTube. People get a lot of traction on this, and it doesn't have to be top 8. It could be top 5, it could be top 10, whatever it is. But I had an agent in Gilbert, Arizona, who did top 8 reasons to live in Gilbert, Arizona. And with the first 5 weeks of posting that video, she had 2 converted leads in houses that were over 800,000. Like their price point was over 800,000, which is not unreasonable for Gilbert. But she's like, I never thought I would get organic leads from YouTube that quickly. Okay, she continued to do the YouTube process, which was awesome. And she continued to get leads. And then what she would do with her long form content on YouTube is she would take it and she would pull it down to tiny little snippets, and then she would use that on her short form content platforms like Instagram Reels or like TikTok, and drive traffic to her YouTube, which would drive traffic to her business. But the things that you could also do are what people love about your city. Do you have any famous attractions? Do you have any popular events that come to your town? In Arizona, we had spring training. We had a lot of like native attractions. There was a lot of historical stuff and artsy things. I know this year right now we have they have a huge golf tournament. They have car show, and are having the Super Bowl. So I have a lot of agents, past clients out there that are really focusing on that content. Be the mayor of your city. Interview the mayor of your city. I've seen that before, and it's pretty awesome. This is also great for search engine optimization. So if you're doing this on your social platforms, if you're putting some information specifically on your Google business and on your website, this is going to cause you to have a lot more traction just for native search. So if people are thinking of moving to your city, they're typing in Google, moving to Pittsburgh, right? And because Google and YouTube are attached, if you're creating YouTube videos, you're going to get organic search results there, which is awesome. You could even do, one of the cool things that I really like to do is most cities, actually, I think all cities or all counties are required to disclose It's public knowledge on city and county developments. So if you go to your city website and your county website, they're required to disclose what's coming in development. So that could be commercial development, residential development, anything. And you can really kind of see what's in the plan of what's developing out your community. So I would go there and look and see what's been approved and be the purveyor of that information in your city, which would be really amazing. And if you need help from like Claire or myself on creating, the top 8 reasons or the top 5 restaurants or the best dog parks around or whatever it is, like you can do all of that, but making sure that in your title, you're creating opportunities for that city that you live in. It doesn't have to be a big city, it can be your specific, niche city. That's totally fine. But making sure that your title and your captions include city information. So I call them the little spiders from Google, know what you're talking about and know how to deliver your content to the people who are searching for it. Number 5, to buy or not to buy? That is the question, right? Okay, so we talked a little bit about this, renting versus buying. I actually have a little bit of personal feelings behind this because I get really upset when I see videos from real estate agents kind of making renters feel ashamed for renting. So if a renter has, a goal to buy one day, the last thing we want to do is shame them for renting right now because we don't know their situation. We don't know why they're renting. It could be maybe they got a divorce and their significant other destroyed their credit, right? Or maybe they just are in a weird transition and they don't have the, monthly payment for it, right? But this is also where we can kind of go back and talk about, fixed income versus variable and how rents change. And we could talk about, credit repair, maybe with our lender partners or with a company that we've partnered with. You can talk about down payment assistance programs, or if there's certain areas of town where they have opportunity for other grants inside of, inside of whether it be government programs or local programs or whatever it is. So really giving people who may have the opportunity or the want to buy specific information on how to do it instead of shaming them for renting. Because most people who want to buy but are renting, they're not renting for fun. They know that they're throwing money away. Most people are honest about it. They know that they're not getting any sort of equity and they can't paint their own walls the color that they want. But the more authentic we are, the more we give people, the positives of buying and the risks of buying as well, and then the risks and positives of renting, it's going to be appreciated to the people who are actually in those spaces. So rent versus buy is a great thing. I just need to, I want you to make sure that when you're creating video, you're talking to the customer and you're really thinking about how this is going to be received by a customer versus talking to them just as an agent who thinks everybody should buy a home, okay? Really look at the perspective of people we're talking to. Number 6, okay, neighborhood profiles. So people do search by neighborhood. So once they get to a place where maybe they've narrowed down a town or a city that they want to really focus on, a lot of times they'll try to figure out or look at specific neighborhoods, or they'll search per price point and understand which neighborhoods they're looking in. Or maybe they understand a neighborhood is great because of a school district that they've heard is ranked in, the top opportunities in that space. So if you can start doing videos based on specific neighborhoods, that would be really amazing. So you can talk about the amenities in the neighborhood. How many homes are there? What are the lot sizes? What do the size of the homes tend to have? Is there a community center? What is it close to? What are some local businesses nearby? What makes that neighborhood desirable? Okay. And the good thing about that is then you can expand on it. So if you're focusing on one specific neighborhood, maybe then you take that to the next step and you focus on the local businesses around that neighborhood. And what that does is, as long as you're using keywords from that neighborhood and from the local businesses around and from the favorite parks around, you're going to get more search engine optimization and opportunities in that space. So featuring those people. And then the good thing about that is, like, if you're featuring a local business and you call them and let them know you're featuring them, maybe they'll let you in to record video. Maybe they'll share your video to their people, which is huge. That gives you visibility to an entirely new group of eyes. So I love the local business opportunity, especially if you're really trying to become a hyper local connection in a sort of neighborhood or area. You can even buy domains for that specific neighborhood. Because if you have like a landing page off of your website, and that landing page is live in Mesa Hills, and Mesa Hills is something that you've created videos on for YouTube, and maybe you're doing Mesa Hills short form video, and then you're, visiting local businesses that are in Mesa Hills, and then you're also putting all of that content and information on your website, the likelihood of you ranking for those specific neighborhoods is incredibly high. You'll be the go-to expert, and it'll be super easy to convert those leads because they know that you know this neighborhood. Okay. And making sure that if you are doing videos in regards to neighborhoods, I think YouTube is the best place for it. Make sure you tag and watch the views. You'll watch the views roll in, especially if it's an in-demand neighborhood, because people will be searching specifically for that neighborhood. I think neighborhood profiles are phenomenal. In my area where I lived in Arizona, I lived in Chandler, and there were some very highly desirable neighborhoods around, but there was also really great niche local businesses, custom or really specific restaurants that people could feature. And the agents that did that had incredible success, really not really even having to leave their specific home market. They just stayed in that area because people thought they were the local expert, regardless of how many homes that they were selling in the area. All right, number 7. So those local business spotlights, I wanted to dive deeper into those. So interviewing your favorite local business. And the reason this is huge is because every local business, whether it be a restaurant, or maybe it's like, out here in Ohio, we have a lot of like Ohio State custom like woodworking stores. So I could interview people who own that. I actually have a friend who does a lot of like things on Etsy. She has like an Etsy store that's local, but at the same time, she's also trying to get to a place where she's busy enough that she's going to have her own like pop-up shop. And so I could feature her there and get some opportunities there. And the cool thing about that is she makes kind of custom swag type stuff. So I could leverage it for my business during the holidays, or if I need something made, which would be awesome. But what happens is when you connect local businesses, people who own businesses know a ton of people. And you become that go-to resource, you become that go-to realtor for your local businesses, for their people, and for the growth of your city. And people love shout outs. People want to support small business. When you support small business, I think it's like 21% higher percentage of every single dollar that goes into a small business goes back to your community, which I guess with like a corporation, it's like less than 1%. So it's a huge percentage of money that goes back into your local community when you're supporting small businesses in your hometown. And then don't forget to post and tag. So when you post, make sure you're tagging either the people, the business, making sure you're doing your location tags. All of these things go to getting views outside of solely your following. So you have your own following on your social media pages and all of that stuff. But as soon as you start tagging and locationing and posting and doing your hashtags for your post, you're going to get more outside views because you're essentially creating a local post. You're creating a niche opportunity, but you're also leveraging the opportunities in those spaces to make sure that people in your area get those videos. I'll tell you right now, like I have my location services on my Instagram and on my TikTok. And I can tell you out of every like 10 to 20 videos, especially when I'm scrolling my TikTok, is somebody from my area. I don't follow them. but I'm getting thrown content from people in my area because it's relevant to me because I live close by. So this is really an important opportunity. And Claire, I know knows how to do this, but she'll show you how to tag locations, how to tag other people, so that way you get those opportunities of views outside of just your database and your current following. And number 8, virtual open houses. Okay. I love this opportunity. Obviously, sitting an open house is very effective, but I also love the idea of doing a virtual open house. This doesn't have to be live. It can be live. You can do an edited version where you are really just recording this house. Maybe you're showing the behind the scenes of how to set up an open house or what you do. Maybe you're just showing a house itself because you love the features of the actual house, the design elements. Maybe it's just the area or the neighborhood. Maybe you start the open house and you go and you open the house, but then you actually start the edited version of you driving into the neighborhood and driving into the driveway and walking in through the front door so they can get an idea of what that looks like. Not only does virtual open houses are great, but they also make your sellers happy. Buyers can tour it in their own time. One of the things that I had my agents do was if they were doing something like this, a lot of times I would just have them record and they can talk throughout. But a lot of times I had them just record, not talking. And then when they posted the video, they did a sound over, they did a voiceover. So they could kind of explain where they were at in the video and not really have to do 2 things at once. And it gave them time to kind of calm down and really walk them through a really guided, wonderful tour. And you can record multiple times, but this is a really awesome opportunity for a live event or an edited event or both. So I use the Quick app. I also use Canva for video editing. So if you're going to record something live, it's going to be a little bit different. You're not going to edit that, right? But if you're going to record something and want to edit it later, Claire can really show you on, especially Instagram stories, how to do that voiceover from an edited video. If you plan on using short form video, meaning TikTok and Reels, make sure when you're recording that you are recording vertically. Okay, so your phone is this way, not this way. I know it sounds like it's a little bit easier to record this way when you're, walking through a home, but there's ways that you can kind of pull your like the wideness factor of your video back, so you can kind of see more of an overarching view of the room instead of just what's narrowed in here. And Claire can definitely show you that as well. So I love this opportunity as far as virtual open houses, obviously, as well as doing another open house. Something just as an idea you could do is maybe show up an hour and a half early to your open house, do this recording, or maybe even go live or do an edited version. And while you're actually executing your real open house inside of downtime, when people aren't coming by, you can work on editing that more permanent version for your short form video or even for your YouTube. So I love this opportunity. I think it's a great space for you to create video. Last but not least, I have a bonus idea. So this is a great bonus idea just to generate more listings, but it does include video. So I love the unsolicited video CMAs for past clients database in your farm. So for each 7 to 10 contacts in your database, every single year, that will produce 1 transaction, right? Whether they work with you or work with somebody else. Every 7 to 10 people in your database equals 1 transaction per year. So I think this is a great opportunity to start the year off hard and disciplined, especially with the equity growth that people have had over the last 2 years. This is an opportunity to create a video CMA for your past clients. And you can, and the reason I like this is instead of just delivering a PDF and them not really understanding how you came up with this information, what you can do is if you have a Zoom account, you can record your screen like I'm doing now, or you could go with kind of a screen record platform like a Loom. Loom is a good one, Loom, where you can kind of work through how you created the CMA for your past client. You can work through maybe, hey, do you have any questions in this space? Or I chose these because of XYZ. I'd love your feedback on any improvements that you've made since we've talked last time. And then sending that video CMA to them with the PDF as well. This is an incredibly huge way that I've had my agents have massive amount of opportunity, not just, in the immediate part of them receiving the CMA, but 6, 10, 12 months down the line to know who's coming and who's looking for an opportunity to likely sell their home and look for something else. So this is a great one. This is not necessarily for social media, short form video or anything like that, but you could even leverage this for something like that, where maybe you make a long form video and you say, this is how I create my comparative market analysis for my clients, for my database, for my farm. This is what goes into it. This is kind of a behind the scenes of how I do this. And this is what it means to you as seller or buyer or whatever that is. So I think this is a really great idea, obviously to generate more listings, but also to just, show people the work you do on the back end, right? The work that our consumers and our clients don't see. This is an opportunity to let them in on that little secret of our business, right? And last but not least, just a big thank you to Clover Lane, to Claire and Susan, and we appreciate you for having us out. If you want to learn more about WFG, you can scan Meg's code there. If you want to learn a little bit more about my home and the technology arm of what we do, you can scan mine. But again, I just want to say thank you to Clover Lane for having us out. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. But Claire is the go-to person on the ground. She will help you execute these. And all I can say is it's not going to be perfect the first time, but just do it. And I promise you it'll get better.